Suspend your disbelief, your rational, analytic mind, just for a minute, just for the length of this podcast. What if all I am about to tell you is the truth? What if the information you will be provided is from a divine source? Just for this time, I am your Axis Mundi. Consider this podcast your channel, your second opinion. When I do a reading, something larger than myself is working through me. So ask what you wish. This is your channel, your doorway to the divine.
Welcome to John's Tarot. Welcome to you from wherever in the world you may be listening. Welcome to episode 3 of the Soul Awakened series. This episode is called Recovery as a Spiritual Awakening. And before I do this episode, I want to read a little disclaimer. This episode, Recovery as Spiritual Awakening, reaches into psychologically advanced and spiritually challenging territory, material that may be overwhelming for someone in very early or unstable recovery. Jung himself warned that deep shadow work and the confrontation with archetypal forces should only be attempted when the ego is stable and well supported. AA itself emphasizes the same principle. First things first, keep it simple, one day at a time. Because this episode explores advanced psychological and spiritual dimensions of healing, please remember that your most important work right now is staying sober, building support, and taking things one day at a time. You are welcome here, but you might consider revisiting this episode later in your journey when you feel grounded and stable. Your safety and well-being come first. If you are early in recovery, I suggest watching one of my earlier videos, 12-Step Recovery, C.G. Jung, and Individuation, as a more appropriate starting point. I will leave the link in the comments. And as always, this podcast is not therapy, not medical advice, does not take the place of a meeting. This is psychological and spiritual education grounded in Jungian thought, real lived experience, and the symbolic lens of the tarot. So let's begin with the video I prepared for this week, Recovery as Spiritual Awakening.
Welcome to John's Tarot. Today we explore one of the most powerful and misunderstood truths in the world of healing. Recovery is not just about sobriety. Recovery is a spiritual awakening. Carl Jung once said that addiction is ultimately a search for meaning, a painful longing for connection to something greater. In this episode, we'll explore how recovery becomes a doorway to spiritual transformation, and how tarot and individuation can illuminate this sacred process. Modern society sees addiction as a disease, a behavior problem, or a chemical imbalance. Jung saw it differently. He understood addiction as a spiritual emergency, a rupture between the ego and deeper self. When someone is addicted, they are often seeking intensity, escape, or oblivion. But at the deepest level, they are seeking wholeness. They are seeking union with the self, the source of meaning and inner truth. Section 2. Jung, Roland Hazard, and the Birth of AA. In the 1930s, Jung treated a man named Roland Hazard for alcoholism. After traditional treatments failed, Jung told him something radical. Your only hope is a spiritual awakening. Carl Jung did not create Alcoholics Anonymous, nor did his work directly form the 12 Steps. However, Jung made a crucial contribution to the understanding of alcoholism by identifying a spiritual malady at the core of the condition, a disturbance of the soul that cannot be treated by psychology or medicine alone. Jung's insight helped shape one of the 3 pillars of recovery as described in AA: an allergy of the body, the physical craving, an obsession of the mind, the mental compulsion, and a spiritual malady, a deep inner disconnection. Jung's contribution was to illuminate this third part, the spiritual malady, and his emphasis on the necessity of a spiritual awakening profoundly influenced the early founders of AA, particularly through the Roland Hazard story. This laid the groundwork for the spiritual dimension of the recovery program. Section 3. The Three Pillars of Spiritual Recovery. Part 1. Ego Surrender. Steps 1 through 3. The Fall of Illusion. In recovery, the ego discovers its limits. It collapses, and this collapse is sacred. Part 2. Shadow Work. Steps 4 through 7. Truth Revealed. Moral Inventory, Confession, Humility. These mirror Jung's shadow work. Part 3. Service and Love. Step 12. Awakening Embodied. The recovered person becomes a light to others. This is the self emerging. Section 4. Where Tarot and Recovery Meet. The tarot is a powerful companion in recovery because it reflects the inner journey as it unfolds. It shows where we are deceiving ourselves, where we are guided, where we are wounded, where we are awakening. The Fool symbolizes surrender. The Devil symbolizes addiction. The Tower symbolizes collapse. The Star symbolizes hope. And the World symbolizes rebirth. Together they show that recovery is not merely abstinence, it is transformation. Section 5. The Recovery Awakening Spread. Here I've developed a little tarot spread you can do at home, which will help you investigate the topic we've just discussed. This is done in a 5-card cross-shaped layout. The Recovery Awakening Spread. Card 1, The Root Wound. What pain drives my escape? Card 2, The False Self. What illusion must fall? Card 3, The Turning Point. Where is spiritual surrender calling me? Card 4, The New Path. What must I embrace to heal? Card 5, Awakening. How does the self guide me forward? This spread opens a door, not to prediction but to truth. It reveals the inner dynamics of awakening. Section 6. Recovery in the language of Sophia. When recovery deepens, it becomes Sophia's work, the work of divine truth. She strips away illusion, ego, shadow, and false comfort, not to punish, but to heal. Recovery is the soul remembering what it truly is. Thank you for joining me on this sacred exploration. If you or someone you love is on a path of recovery, I hope this brings clarity. Like, subscribe, and share if this resonated with you. And join me next time as we continue exploring the intersection of tarot, spirit, and the journey towards wholeness.
I hope you enjoyed my little video on recovery as spiritual awakening, and I hope it wasn't too disturbing.
The pain.
So I want to let you know I kind of focus on 12-step recovery. 12-step recovery is not the only method of recovery out there. There are other types of recovery out there, a secular recovery, rational recovery, and whatever you choose is what you choose. This is your life. You do what's best for your life, and I'm not here to make any decisions for you. This is just something I'm familiar with, and that's why my podcast and the series is based on that. So let me move over to my tarot page, and we will do a tarot reading based on what we did here today. My ability to read tarot is a gift, an expression of divine love, and I'm here to share it with you in that same spirit. So this reading is called Recovery Awakening Tarot Spread. And it's to give you a little insight. As I said, it's not for prediction, but to truth. It reveals the inner dynamics of awakening in your life. My ability to read tarot is a gift, an expression of divine love, and I'm here to share it with you in that same spirit. So I've shuffled the cards earlier. I hope you're all having a good day out there. I'm a little concerned as I go forward. I have another 6 episodes ready to go, written up. Christmas time might be a little tough. I got to work a little bit during the holidays, so we'll see if I get something out every Friday. I'll do the best I can. We'll see. All right. What do I need to know about myself in terms of recovery and awakening? And let me cut the deck. My first card, the root wound. What pain drives my escape? The Ace of Swords. That always has to do with truth, cutting through deception, cutting through lies. What lies I've been telling myself. Certainly in early recovery, I had a whole litany of lies I was telling myself. The lies thing, like, I'm not hurting anybody but myself. Truth was, I hurt everybody I came in contact with, not just my family and friends, but everybody, because that was kind of what was ingrained in me. And there was a lot of truths that I had to cut through in order to get to what was inside of me and to see reality for what it was. But it also has to do with successfully doing these things. You see the crown on the top. Card 2, the false self. What illusions must fall? And I have the King of Swords. The King of Swords, that I was so wise, that was an illusion, that I knew everything, that I was so smart, that I was in control, and that I could quit this anytime I wanted. That was one of the illusions that I had to cut through in order to find the truth. And the truth was I couldn't stop by myself. I tried many times. I could go into a bit of a discussion on that, but I tried many times, many methods. And I always came back to the same point of failure that I would pick up and use again. And it was endless. So that was the false self, what illusion that must fall, that I was in charge, that I could do what I wanted at any time, and that I was so smart. I was not. Third card, the turning point. Death card. For me, that meant the death of illusions, the death of the old self. Now, death doesn't necessarily mean a physical death. It means change. It means death and rebirth. You see the skeleton. On the skeleton is what grows the frame for rebirth. And so there had to be a death of my old self. And that was a turning point where the spiritual surrender was calling me. The spiritual surrender was calling me to the death of the old self. I had an issue I didn't understand at the time. I had an inner part of me that wanted out. And I was looking at my life, and because I'm drinking and drugging, and I'm looking at my life and go, well, why don't I have the good things in life? Obviously because of my behavior, but I was having trouble understanding that. And I had a part of me that wanted to come out, that wanted to grow and mature and become an adult and reach my full potential as a human being. And that part was trying to come up. And my old behaviors were keeping me down. So it was that tension that was causing me a lot of psychic pain. We'll call it psychic pain. And I needed to overcome that. The only way to overcome that for me was getting sober, and I had to face that. The new path. These cards are so appropriate. I shuffled them. I don't know how they come out so appropriate. The new path, the Three of Pentacles. You see a man there building a new structure. Three pentacles, and you see two people helping him there. One architect, one a church official. So, and the master builder. So I was the master builder in my life. The new path, I had to build a new life, and I had to have direction from the master builder, and from the chief architect. And what I chose to use from that, I used the I Ching, was a big part of my early recovery and is a big part of my life today. Was so helpful. But also, I'm a member of a 12-step organization. I did, going to meetings, listening to people who were much wiser in the issue that I was trying to accomplish, people who had successfully built a new life out of the shambles of their old life. And certainly, shambles would have been being too generous from the life I had before. And if you want to learn to be an airplane pilot, I've said this before, you hang out with airplane pilots and do what they do. If you want a recovery from addiction, you hang around with people who have successfully recovered from addiction, and you do what they do. And that's what I found in the recovery program. I found people with more experience who have done this before and who guided me. And I also had a sponsor and a wonderful guy who I miss dearly. He's passed away now. Who helped guide me. And then the founders of the program themselves. They designed this program of recovery, and it's always amazing how well it works. And then the final card, Awakening. How does the self guide me forward? That's an interesting card. And that is the 8 of Wands. How does the self guide me forward? The process seemed very slow in the beginning, but as I look back at it now, it all went very fast. Quickly, the eight of Wands. You'd think this early recovery will never end, but in reality, I think that was the best part of my recovery. Well, maybe now is really good, but the early recovery is the part I'm most proud of. Where I was thinking about this week, where a real noble effort to regain my soul and to regain my spirit. And that's what early recovery is all about. And the struggles that you take and the ones that you overcome, it all passes so quickly. And I had so many obstacles to overcome because I had so much negative karma that I created. It was like one thing after another. And it seemed like it would never end. But as I look back on it now, it ended pretty quickly. And it ended quickly. It went real fast. And I'm at 36 years now. And I want to tell you, it goes fast. So let me move back over to my presentation page. So for this week,
Goodbye, Professor Marvel, and thanks a lot.
Well, it was my pleasure. Next week, I think I have something on doing shadow work and taking a look. Shadow work episode 4, and so tune in next week. And I'm also going to do something on the podcast only version of John's Tarot, which I just recently started posting up on YouTube. Also, if you're listening to this anywhere, I would strongly suggest that you take a look at the YouTube video I did on this episode. There are some very powerful graphics, and I did that on purpose. And if you are in this position, it's worth watching. So until next week, be careful, be cool, be kind. Remember, find faith, have courage, and I will see you all next week. All right, bye-bye.